and welcome back to MXTC, Masculine Excellence Through Christ. I'm Jake.
And I'm Zach.
Are you?
Am I? Am I here?
Yeah, this guy's Zach.
Which guy?
In this guy.
Me?
Yeah.
Welcome back, dudes and ladies. I was going to say fellas.
Dudes and fellas.
Dudes and fellas. Welcome back to another
Hello.
episode, man. What
Wow.
episode is this? 5?
I think so.
What's it called?
I've
What's
lost
this one
count.
called, actually?
This one is called The Stoic.
The Stoic.
The Stoic.
How's your weight? Wow.
How's my weight? My weight's good, bro. I'm up to 77 kilos.
77 kgs, man. You're a thick boy.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You good? We just had our pesto pasta.
We had pasta because we're Stoics. What is the Stoic?
We're going to go straight in.
Yeah.
Straight in.
Well, they're not here to listen to us talk pasta.
Yeah, well, how I made it. Well, I didn't make it. You made it. You made it for me. And then you made me dog food.
What's the Stoic?
Right here. What's the Stoic, Jakey? The Stoic is, well, people throw that term around quite a bit. You know, I'm Stoic, and Jordan Peterson's Stoic, and Marcus Aurelius was Stoic. So the Stoic is essentially the name we've used to encapture or encompass our mental well-being and our mental health as men. Okay. Stoicism refers to essentially that calm, cool, composed nature. It can, however, refer to an emotionless state, which is not what we're after, but it just flows the Stoic. It just flows the rest with the titles, you know. But yeah, it's just that cool, calm, composed response, that under control feeling of that mental state. So if something was to happen, you know, you're just in control.
Yep.
You have a sense of composure and settled feeling when something kind of flares up and that you don't really know how to deal with. You just kind of face it as it comes and don't react too quickly. But yeah, that's what I'd say the Stoic is about, and I think it's something that we need to add into our repertoire and into our pillars.
And what's that?
Being Stoic.
Being a Stoic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But obviously from a Christian perspective, Christian philosophy rather than something else.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, boy?
I don't know.
Am I funny looking to you?
A little bit.
Jeez,
Little bit.
man.
So you said that
Stoicism. This is going to be a hard one for you, man.
Yeah, bro.
Enunciate. Red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather. Stoicism.
Yeah, there we go. It's a crisp word.
Nice. Stoicism. Stoicism.
This is going to be a long episode.
So that we're talking about mental health, yeah?
Essentially, yeah.
So men's mental health and how us as men can biblically live out or stay composed in such a busy society.
Not even that, just how do we keep ourselves mentally
checked in?
Yeah. Not kind of just lose our senses and lose our sense. It's easy to kind of get roped into the amount of evil that happens in the world and kind of you get pulled into this drag essentially, and you get into this mental cloud. And especially men these days, we are kind of making up the stats with suicide. Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah, it's very true.
So what's going on essentially is what we're trying to ask and what we're trying to figure out and offer some kind of, we're not professionals by any means, but offer some sort of insight. You're a professional.
No, not far.
Offer some sort of insight from a young man's mind. So, and how we kind of deal with that. Yeah. Because we both feel the pinch, you know. There is things that kind of pull us in, and
both of us, obviously being men and loving our sport, mental health is pushed
quite a bit.
Quite a bit, right? So, how do you maintain a healthy mental state? Like, what are things you do as a man to implement a quote unquote healthy? I assume you have a healthy mental health.
Yeah, and this
sphere.
Yeah,
So what do you do?
I'm gonna say this from the start. I have quite an unsavory take on mental health. Okay. That might be quite abrasive to people. Like mental, and I say this and take it with a grain of salt. Like I don't think about it that much. I don't try to unravel my mental. If I'm having a bad day, I don't think about it too much. Yeah. I'm just had a bad day. Yeah. Like I'm not. Yeah,
you don't dwell on that negativity.
I'm not falling into a spiral. Plus, in saying that, I think we're different as well, because from a Christian sphere, we don't look within ourselves to find an answer to the problems that we have. We have an external or an outsourced thing that is different.
Yep.
That's Christ.
Yep.
You know, we look to Christ for our guidance. So Christ always says, you know, cast your burdens onto him. So
good.
why am I thinking about it?
Good, yeah.
And he's got my back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a different thing. I'm not looking inside myself and dwelling on things. Oh man, because then you're kind of just like a pressure cooker. You're kind of like problems, internalize until you kind of pop.
Yeah.
Not saying that, you know, we are absolved of that.
Yeah.
You know, but we I guess we can kind of cut that a bit and outsource our mental health. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So that when you do notice you have a bad day, you just take it as it sort of comes.
Yeah.
And then
it's just a bad day. Like, you know,
reshuffle it or redirect it to Christ.
Yeah. And I've said this before, you know, we shouldn't be telling God how big our problems are. We should be telling our problems how big our God is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like a big mental shift. Also, having a good prayer life. You know, if there's something bad that happens, immediately just outsource that help and that discipline. Good. You know, like, Lord, I need help.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to do this right now. I can't do it. I need some sort of external help from you. You know, God being the Father, wouldn't he help his children?
Yeah. So what do you do? Is there anything in particular you do to, you know, keep you mentally sane, or things that you enjoy that you find not only, you know, soothes the spirit or the soul, but you find is very therapeutic for your mind?
There are a few things. Like I do notice I like listening to music. Like that's probably a big one.
Do you find that it just relaxes?
It relaxes the nervous system, man. It just kind of sits like after work. I'll get into my car, music straight on, and it's not like
Christian music though.
Christian, definitely Christian music, yeah. And then another thing actually that really helps me is I like learning about my faith. If I'm immersed in learning about my faith, I feel my faith is strengthened. I feel more, and like I feel, I'm ready to go again. Like the energy comes back, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I learned something new about Christ. I learned something new about the Bible. I learned something new about my tradition. You know, like that spirit comes alive again. And if you're constantly in prayer and you're constantly learning about these kind of things, like your fire always stays there. Sometimes like you do have seasons of like, oh man, nothing's happening.
Yeah. Nothing's
happening. But that's where you hold up and say, wait a second, look at all the things that I've had. Let's be grateful. And what you said, what did you say last week? You said, you're talking about how can I ask God to use me, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not what I can give, but how.
Yeah, like a lot of new Christians come into the Christian sphere and go, "Oh God, like I asked for this, and this."
Yeah,
but not like on their Christian walk, they never once say, "God, what can I give you?"
Exactly,
or at least very early on.
Yeah, and then like that in itself is like, you know, when those dry seasons do happen, ask God for that. You know, humble yourself and say, "Look, I've been grateful for the things you've given me and the things you've already shown to me. Now, you know, it's a dry season for me. What can I give back? What can I give back?" So yeah, there's a few things, you know, that learning, the music, just immersing, just immersing myself in my faith, just completely saturating myself in it. That's a huge one. And then doing things like this with you, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, I look forward to, I'm actually excited to talk about my faith. Like people, we've literally hard launched our faith onto like a platform.
Yeah.
You know, like other people see that's like, dude, these are crazy religious people, but it feels normal for us. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's really a big difference. Like we're excited to talk about these sort of things. We're excited to talk about it. And
okay, so then before you accepted Christ, how did you then deal with, for those watching or listening, how did you previously deal with a bad day? And then how did you deal with, you know, a good day? Like what would be therapeutic to the mental state?
You know what? Something sexual.
Would be what?
Like, it would be, like, you know,
good day or
a bad day. Oh, it's like, I've got to watch porn. You know, that'll make my day better. You know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys fall into that.
like an outlet.
Yeah. Oh, I need an outlet. Something. I got to get that stress out.
Yeah.
You know?
Crank one out.
Yeah. Essentially, like that is such an unhealthy thing, because now what you've, again, this is a bit of a mental thing. You've by association made pornography use synonymous with a bad day.
Yep.
Right? And now you're just kind of in this weird downward spiral. So what happens is when you do enter that space, you know, like one of the two is going to happen. You're either going to have a bad day, or you're going to end up using the old hub, which should be cancelled.
Oh man.
And
then what would you do if you like? What did you find therapeutic? Same, like just like listen to music.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Listen to music.
Going for runs.
Yeah, doing things I personally like worldly things that I as a worldly person would like.
Yeah.
You know, if I go out or you know. What about you, man? What about you? What does mental health mean to you? What is
like now?
Yeah, no, just
JBC.
Oh, even Jake
after Christ. Well, during Christ, I guess.
Yeah. Not after Christ.
Yeah. Probably something similar, man. Like I just enjoy just sort of relaxing. Life can be pretty go. So the word in the Bible they use is selah, which basically just is rest.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just resting. I'd like to have a Sabbath, whether that's a full day or just a couple hours, just to basically chill out and do something I enjoy, and generally that's food related. So just go and enjoy something nice, or go see something pretty.
Yeah.
Do that. That's what I find very, very therapeutic. Or go for walks. I love walking, man.
Oh yeah, exercise.
Even the gym, dude.
Super good for very therapeutic.
Yeah, just like you switch off and you're just like, I got a mission here. Let's get it done. Prayer walks, just walking and praying. I really, really love that. But then to deal with it, very much similar. It's like, oh, dude, trying not to take control of my own life, and you handball the burden over to Christ.
Yeah. What about what you asked me before? Like, what does mental health look like for you? How do you go about having a bad day, and how do you kind of wrestle with that?
I think it's very similar, man. Just like staying composed in the chaos. I say it all the time, but the motto that I try to live by, or the biblical analogy I live by, is to have joy in the chaos. And when crap is going, hectic, or when everything's so hectic around me, it's just like pausing and just remaining composed.
Being stoic.
I think that's very, very underrated. There's so many things that aren't in our control, and we can take control of it. And I think that's something that I feel like God's got his finger on at the minute. I feel like God's got his finger on that at the minute. It's just about of letting go and letting God, just do it all.
Yeah.
So that's I think huge, because you can get so caught up in the materialistic things of life, money, relationships, family, etc., health, and of course, I don't discredit any of them and the importance they play.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter of, if something is to happen, you just stay composed, stay cool, never lose your cool.
Yep. Okay.
Never lose your cool.
Always be cool.
Always be cool.
Be cool for school.
Don't be a coward. You think us as Christians, for those listening, I guess as Christians, this applies to you. Do you think what you do and then what Christians do as a whole would be similar about how we approach the negative days? Or do you think that's what you do is personal?
Yeah, I think everyone has an individualized bad day plan.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do like going for a run. Me, for instance, I do like going out and kind of exerting myself. And
that would make my day from bad to worse.
Really?
Going for a run, bro.
Oh yeah, for you, yeah. Like gym or going for a run. Like just get that. For me now is get that
endorphin rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like I've said to you before in our first episode, talking about giving your body to Christ and glorifying Christ with your body, that already makes me worship already, because as I go on my run, I always do a prayer before I run.
Great. So
I've already prayed. We're good to go. Off in your run, the endorphins are flowing, and you're already being grateful that you're able to do these things. So your mindset starts to shift to being grateful. You start to think about things different. You go out and you look at, running along the beach. It's nice.
Yeah.
You look at it, you look up and say, damn, this is lovely. And you're grateful for that opportunity to do that. Some people might like sitting down and reading a book. Some people listen to a podcast. But yeah, like I think everyone has, based on their own personality, has their own
way of dealing with it.
Yeah, own way of dealing with it.
But do you think at the end of the day you still should be giving your burdens to Christ?
Absolutely. I think no matter what we do, whether it's you reading a book, me going for a run, you might be reading the Bible. I might be glorifying Christ in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those things. Like at the end of the day, we come together as a Christian family, no matter what kind of denomination you're from, except for certain few heretics. We come together.
That in there.
Yeah, we come together as a Christian family, and the focal point of what we're doing to get out of that bad day should be to glorify Christ, or to just throw that burden onto Him.
Yeah.
He asks you to do that. He asks you not to worry about things. He even says, how many more days can add to your life by worrying? Like just small things like that. Like just like even if you're not Christian, from a philosophical point, from being a Stoic. That would be a major kind of trigger to say, oh yeah, what's worrying going to do about anything?
Yeah,
I'm going to worry and cry and moan and whinge about something that I have no control over. It is what it is. Just from a purely philosophical standpoint.
And it sounds very superficial, but I think it's really how it is. Is you could be having the worst day, and everything in a season is not going the way you wanted it to, but it's just going all right. Let's just take it as it is, one day at a time, issue by issue, and just continuing to have the faith that God will come through. Yeah. Stay faithful to faith.
Now, I understand this is a touchy subject, and we film this, and sometimes we look back and go, I probably shouldn't have said that, but we're not here to offend completely.
Yeah.
I'm here to offend sometimes.
No, we're here to edify. We're not here to.
You see, you're the nice one.
Yeah,
this is good cop, bad cop.
I'm gonna keep you in check, bro.
You do. You have to rebuke me.
This is what cults do to people.
Yeah. They do.
The years of cults.
Oh man. But yeah, no, when we understand this is a touchy subject, people are personally affected by it, and it's rough to deal with mental health and depression and anxiety and traumas. So just a disclaimer, if this is a triggering topic, just take it with a grain of salt. We're not professionals, and we're kind of just giving our opinion, really.
Yeah.
And how we feel we see things.
Yeah, this ain't medical advice.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Just our anecdotal evidence, Mental health, like, what is it from a worldly perspective? And then could you describe it from a Christian perspective?
Mental health. Like having a healthy mind, obviously.
Yeah,
watching what you're actually looking at and what you're listening to, because it all affects your mind, your will, and your emotions.
Consumption.
Yeah, so just watching what you consume and making sure that it's lifting you up, I guess. I don't know, bro.
No, like you said, like obviously if you break that word down, healthy mind.
Yeah.
Or anything that disturbs that equilibrium.
Yeah. That's a good way.
If you have intrusive things that kind of permeate into that safe space of your head, and kind of throws you off mentally, that would kind of be affecting your mental health, your mental space, and obviously that can downward spiral or it could upward spiral depending on how you look at life and how you are as an individual. Again, a big thing that we do is our consumption of things. Are we on Instagram all day?
Yeah.
Are we on TikTok all day? Yeah. Are we scrolling through,
the anxiety and the depression and the comparison?
Comparison. Yeah, like even if you just see bad things happening in the world, you can kind of be like, but it doesn't actually directly affect you.
It's almost like subconsciously it affects you.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize it affects you, but you're just like, oh man.
You just feel heavy.
Yeah,
mentally fogged.
Basically what you're saying, I think between whether you believe in Christ or you don't, I think mental health is the exact same. It's just how we deal with it is different.
Agree. Absolutely agree.
It's the exact same. It's just we don't carry the burden or continue carrying it.
Yeah.
We give it to Christ.
Possibly can. Yeah. Like I said before, it's the things that happen mentally, it's either how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? Or from a Christian perspective, Lord, take this burden off me, take this burden out of my mind, take this kind of this dark cloud away from my head.
I really think the community aspect of a church is important because Galatians 6:2, I think it says, to carry each other's burdens. So when I'm having a crap day, it's then your responsibility for you to carry that burden.
Yeah.
But then it's then up to you after I've vented or whatever to then, lay it at the feet of Jesus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we're supposed to take up each other's burdens and help each other out.
Yeah, help each other out and say, Zach, I'm having a stinker.
Yeah.
Could you help me through this? If I'm having a bad day, that's obviously, as we just said, is going to subconsciously negatively affect you.
Yeah.
But then you need to just go, all right, Jesus, you're like, Jake just vented.
Yeah.
Could you just make me feel a bit lighter?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, yeah. And I've spoken to you before. We were in a tram, actually, and I've said this to you. Like, I said to him, I'm happy for you to come talk to me. Like, I don't feel burdened by listening to, like, it's not a sense of, I don't care what he's talking about. It's for me, it's like, dude, come and talk to me. I personally don't feel weighed down with your problems. Like,
but
I'd rather you come to talk to me.
You might not notice it.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon it's just like if I use the backpack analogy, right?
Yeah.
Pretend you got a backpack on, and every problem that you tell me or you hear from someone else, you put in your backpack, right? Until you just can't carry it because you got so many other people's problems. Like the backpack's weighing you down.
But I got Christ holding my backpack.
But then it's your job. Well,
to offload it.
You have to offload it to him.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like, but maybe that's the reason why I don't feel so burdened. And so, like, it's not that it sticks onto me. It's more so like, I'm glad you told somebody. And then
also, I think it's James something, to confess your sins to one another too. And that's important because, again, I think, your sins can then negatively impact your mental state. So then if you confess your sins to one another, it's like the same kind of concept. You bring it to the light and saying, hey, bro, just letting you know, you're going to keep me accountable for this.
Right.
But it could be weighing me down.
Okay. So, this is irrespective of our opinions. Mm-hmm. Confession in the apostolic phase and some maybe early Reformed Protestants. Would that confession also be a good way to get those burdens off your chest?
Yeah.
Yeah? So that's just that general confession.
Confessing your sins to one another.
Yeah, okay.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, as long as it's off your chest. You offload it.
Why do you think it is then, like, men in particular suffer the most from mental issues?
When we say they suffer the most, are we just talking about, like, from a pure statistics point of view?
Correct.
No, this is actually not from stats.com. This is an actual...
Yeah, this is from probably Beyond Blue or something.
Yeah, this is an actual stat, like how men are suffering from suicide a bit.
Yeah, why is the men's statistic so high of suicide?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know the reason why people are, deciding to do things like this. From my personal point of view, I genuinely think it's because men lack purpose these days. Okay. If you take away someone's purpose or meaning, what are they going? What's there to live for?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And some people say people that suicide, they're cowards and things like that, and they're selfish. But you got to put yourself into their shoes and say, like, what drove them to that position to say, I don't feel like I'm needed here anymore, or I'm in a state where I provide nothing to somebody, or to people, or to society, or to life in general, then I'm going to take my life. You got to think of that with a bit more open-hearted, a bit more empathy. I genuinely think that from a men's perspective, we just lack purpose. We lack meaning.
Great.
We lack responsibilities. Our responsibilities have been outsourced and taken away from us. Like I said, we like to work. We like to provide things to society. We like to offer. We like to serve. We like to honor. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be productive workers and productive fathers, productive husbands, productive men in society. And
it's hard in society now where I think we touched on our first episode, the confusion doesn't help that purpose.
Yeah. And confusion between like, what actually is my purpose here?
Okay, As a man.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing. Like, as a Christian, we know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And again, not saying that Christian people don't have these mental issues and mental health issues. It's just saying, like, as men, we know we've been called by Christ to do things and to do specific things biblically, and that is our purpose.
Yeah.
To live as saints on earth, to protect our family under that umbrella, and a group of men who protect the people under that umbrella is called a community. So if multiple men are protecting their loved ones under that umbrella, now you've got a community of men who protect the community. So that's.
There's a quote, I don't know who from, but I'm going to say it's from me because I adapted it, right?
Okay, here we go.
They say,
Quote from Jake.
the typical thing is there's the two most important days of your life, right?
Yep.
Always say that there's three. The three most important days of your life, which are the day you're born, the day you say yes to Christ, and the day you find out why you're born.
Ooh, this is big. Yeah, okay. This is a good one.
Because when you find out why you're born, that gives you that purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
And like that's when life properly begins.
So how would you find that?
Well, it's a journey, man. I'm definitely on that journey of actually finding my pure purpose right here. I know that it's a Christ calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in what avenue? And I personally, like over the past, what am I now? An old man. The past however many years.
Are you starting to fade away?
From finishing school to where I am now, it's been like this heck of a journey of finding what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
And navigating through the thick and thin of just life itself, and as a young man.
Yeah.
And then when I found Christ, I'm like, actually, I have a purpose here. But then when you find out, it's digging further into that purpose. Okay, I found the purpose. What's the purpose of that purpose? Like, how can I live out that purpose?
Yeah.
And I believe it's to do with social media content creation and going, hey, bro, I'm here. I'm just a regular dude that just loves Jesus.
Yeah.
But I want to help you guys and get that message across to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the crazy thing. Like, and I spoke about this on my side of my testimony. Like, I have been given a gift, right? And this is what you'll find. You fellas who are kind of like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, and I don't know what to do. Again, this is my testimony, and I spoke about this a few weeks ago now. I've always prayed for wisdom. I've always prayed for certain things. I've always prayed for knowledge and being able to teach people and be able to say things to people. While I might not be the best speaker, and I stutter and I'm loud and I'm obnoxious sometimes. Like that skill has already been there from the start. Yeah. I just had to find and align it to God's will, and my purpose. Once it aligns with God's will, that's my meaning. And now I'm flourishing in that space. I love talking about Christ. And if people ask me questions, I'm like, it's all of a sudden things just come to me and I'm able to tell people, this is where to look, or this is what to read about. This is what to kind of, I'm able to teach them in that sense. While I might not know everything, and I definitely don't know everything, I can point them at least into the right direction to say, this is where you should start. So that gift has always been there. And again, for you, we're just off camera, we're just looking at your music, Yeah. You're a great content creator. You can do this, you can do that. You're a wizard on the editing. That has all been lost in your Jake before Christ era, but now we're using it, or you're using it for Christ. And I think George Janko says this: if God says action, who can say cut? And that's your gift. So you're allowing this platform to spread. So yeah, man, hats off to you, bro.
Thanks, man.
All you. This is all Jakey's productions, by the way. I just sit here and
you sit here and talk.
Yeah.
It's funny though. I don't think anything is ever wasted. There's times I look back in life and go, wow, like why did I do that for a season, or why did I do this?
Yeah.
But it's sort of all looking back. A lot of it is just lined up to where we are now, to making silly YouTube videos, to then applying that skill for actual
for real purpose, like something that
Well,
helps.
yeah. Well, I use YouTube for Christ, but it's like a different avenue.
Yeah.
It's not directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then audio as well. It's cafe.
Yeah.
Dude. It's crazy.
Everything that kind of rolls around and helps out itself, and it's just funny how the world works like that, I guess.
How God works.
How God works.
Yeah. Amen. To recap on the initial question and to bring it back to what we're speaking about, what you were saying before is you don't think it has to do with men not talking or speaking up. Because
Yeah,
we hear a lot with news or articles or whatever that men don't actually speak up enough.
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
think that's the case?
Well, if you talk to men, we're not gonna just vent and open up. Like I'm sure you women know this. Like if something's wrong with your man, he's not gonna say anything. You know, he's just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm fine, it's all good, but I'll figure it out. You know, he doesn't talk. He doesn't have anything to tell you. It's not that he doesn't have anything to tell you. It's he doesn't know how to tell you that he doesn't have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
How do you tell someone that I don't have a purpose? And the individual might not even know themselves, but they just feel like they don't. Oh man, like what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like that. If you question yourself like that, that's that. You just don't have a purpose. Like, dude, what have I done with my life, or what am I doing? Like that. That's that trigger to say there's something wrong.
Not having the purpose, they're worried to actually speak out.
But not even that. Maybe even how to articulate it.
Okay.
You know, like if we chat together. Like I chat to you, and we just kind of general chat. Like, but it's not just the chatting. Like we don't need to vent. Like what are we venting about? Men are a little bit different. We don't need to go, oh man, I had a really bad day today, and da 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 da. Like some guys like to chat. Like me, for instance, I like to just talk, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But I'm not like venting and saying, dude, you know, we should sit down and have a coffee and talk. It's not like that. We don't express emotion that way. We're just talking.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of men just need to talk, it just seems ignorant on our behalf. It's like you're telling us just to talk, but you don't really know what goes in our head.
Yeah.
For us to be able to explain that.
When I think of mental health, I always, and this is biblically talking, I always think in terms of characters, Job, right? Because that bloke went through a storm, man. Bruh. And I'm actually going through Job at the minute because I find it such a interesting book to read. But there's so much I can relate to of just going, man, I try and live this godly, righteous life, but bad things just happen to me.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, is God punishing me here? Or, you know, why is Satan attacking me here? What are your thoughts on the way he's lived his life and how he attacked those mighty struggles?
Yeah, I think the book of Job is a great book for anyone who suffers, whether it's physically, mentally, just anything. Whoever is going through suffering, to have a read of.
Yeah,
it puts into perspective what happens behind the curtain. Essentially, you know, it sometimes it's not even about you. It's not even about you. Whilst it feels like it is you, and everything's bad is happening to you. And I think a question that comes out of this is, why does God let bad things happen? And we will address that in a later episode. While, like I said, while it might seem like everything's happening to you, later in the book of Job, God says to Job, "Where were you when I built the foundations of the earth? Or where were you when I laid the foundations? Like, you don't know the plans that I have. You don't know why I do the things that I do. Your mind is your mind is infinitely smaller than mine, right? You don't know. We don't know things that happen. We don't know why things happen. And that mystery is something to kind of, it's beautiful almost. It's beautiful almost. Like that mystery that we just have to rely on God no matter what. We have to rely on Christ. We have to hold the line that God has given us and let us hold on to. Like, I always say this, like, you know, the world could be happening, but you know, you've got a lifeline to hold on to. That's what life happens. Like, God's not going to force himself into your life. Because with Job, God didn't do anything. Satan has to ask permission to do these things, right? And Satan does things to people. That's what it is. But God, in his glory, sends you that lifeline. And all you got to do is protect your spirit. And that's another topic we're going to be talking about as well. Spiritual health. Life is bad. Life is a result of sin. Bad things happen because of sin. If everyone lived a biblical life, we would have this utopia. We would have everybody occupying their little, I guess, honeycomb, you know, and helping everybody out, and they're all interconnected and everyone's helping out, right? Sometimes Satan allows bad people to have good things, right? And that in itself, as a Christians, never look at these things and you know this person, you know, doesn't have fruits of the Spirit, and you know that they're not Spirit-led. Don't let these things deter you from Christ, because what happens is sometimes these good things that happen along their path, Satan tempts with good things. And so what happens, sometimes these people just deviate so far onto these temptations that Satan's given them that there's no coming back. So these good things might just be that distraction away from Christ, and they're lost.
It's a bit like Hollywood.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly what I'm thinking of. The second thing is if you're a soldier for Christ, if you're an absolute soldier, bad things will happen to you. Because again, Job and Satan, Job is an absolute soldier for Christ, soldier for God. Bad things happen to him, and God has faith in him. God has faith in him. All right, fine. Let the bad things happen. He's going to be an absolute rock for me no matter what. So if you're a Christian, you're an absolute soldier, don't think bad things are not going to happen to you. Satan wants to take you away, and he's going to do whatever he can to take you away. And then on the flip side of that is you people who, if God was so good, and if you're not a Christian, if he's so good, why does he let these bad things happen to me? Well, have you ever given him the thought to say, hey, Lord, help me out and give me some help? Like, if you don't let him in, he's not going to work. So you can't complain about a situation that you're in that you don't let him help you with.
Yeah.
So don't complain about it.
Yeah.
And if
ask him only when you're like desperate.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you think what's happening to you is bad, who told you that? Who told you what's happening to you is bad?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe in good and evil, then what's happening to you is just life.
Yeah.
So don't complain about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For you that don't believe.
On the previous point, I think it's Ma Marie says a beautiful thing. It's like, you could probably correct it. If you're a righteous person and bad things are happening to you, and Satan's attacking, it means you're real close to God.
Yeah, 100%. And like, as a Christian, that's glory. That's like, okay, I know, like, and you know in your heart that you're close to God and you're an absolute soldier. You know at some point it's going to happen. At some point it's going to happen, and then you're just anticipating it. You're anticipating it and you're waiting for it. Sometimes Satan lets that things stir and settle, and he just lets it happen. I'm not going to get him just yet. I'm going to hit him right where it hurts. And that's where you lose your faith straight away. But just know that you've been a soldier. You are a soldier for Christ. And it's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen.
As I said before, you have to stay faithful to faith.
Yeah, 100%. And then, again, when those bad things do happen, don't think, oh, me, it's my mental, like I'm mentally getting dragged through the mud. I can't do this. Outsource that to Christ. Mm-hmm. He wants you in those times to find him straight away.
A lot of faith faith and patience works hand in hand. You can have all the faith in the world that you believe for something, but then when something bad happens, it goes. You might lose a bit of faith, but you got to have patience to persevere through that. Yeah.
A great example of this for mental health. A great example of this is a physical example in the Bible. Peter walking on water.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally it. It's a great analogy and a great allegory for how we travel through life. The seas are raging, the storms are going on in our life. We're now cast into the water. Jesus asks us to follow him and come to me. Come to me.
You hear the voice of the Lord.
Yeah, and you got to go. And things will happen around you. So Peter's walking on water, trying to find his feet and this and that and unbalanced. And he's got his eyes on God the whole time. He's got his eyes on Jesus the whole time. But when does he slip, Jakey? When does he fall into the water?
Right at the last second.
Why is that? Because he takes his eyes off him.
Off the Lord, yeah.
He takes his eyes off.
Yeah, and onto the problem.
Yep.
So, oh my goodness, I'm
in the middle of the sea. Yeah.
And it says like he's reached his hand out and he grabbed him. So he was in arm's reach.
Yeah, he was literally, exactly right. Yeah. At the last minute, in arm's reach, and he let it go because he was too scared. Mm-hmm. But again, you've fallen into the sea. Yeah. Who picked you back out of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus picked you back out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are things, and these hit spiritually home. Like as Christians, this is like a beautiful, beautiful story. Like it spiritually moves you. Like this guy is willing to do this for you. Yeah. He's willing to die for you. Yeah. Yeah. He's willing to save you when you need it.
It's good, man.
I love Christ.
Yeah, me too, bro.
Bruv. This is a spiritually moving one.
Is it?
Well, we haven't really touched on like depression, anxiety, and trauma. That these are kind of heavy objects of of mental health, for lack of a better word. Depression is things that have happened to you in the past. Anxiety is things yet to come. We kind of get torn between the two, and we can't change it either, right? Again, that's why you have to focus on Christ, because He's the unchanging, eternal, right? How does the world view these sort of things, and how does the world teach you to protect yourself against these? And then, again, the Christian perspective, and how as men we should tackle these things.
How does the world teach you to deal with anxiety and depression? I think mainly just to talk about it. I don't know how we're taught to do it. How are we?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like, do they just say, Yeah, I guess it's just talk about it. But I always found this interesting. Like, if you're always talking about an issue that always riles you up, and like, doesn't it like just get you like angsty again?
I think so. Yeah.
Like, if you just keep talking about it, like, it just opens up old deep wounds. So how do you move past that? If we use that as an example.
Oh man, I don't know. I think that's where you can look so far behind at history and the depression side, or so far ahead, but you forget to live in the present. That's the only thing you can change. So people are constantly living in this to and fro of the past and the future, and forget to live in the present. So I honestly don't know how the world teaches us how to deal with anxiety. I think it's more just like, just deal with it. It's part of life.
Yeah. Because then obviously, you get therapy where you need.
Oh yeah,
Like if you need to manage, like.
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually how we're sort of what to do if you're going through any form of anxiety or depression, is to seek professional help.
Have you ever been to a therapist or like a Christian therapist?
I see a Christian counselor just regarding.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk through that. Like, how does a Christian counselor differ from, like, for instance?
It's just like the same values, man.
Yeah.
They understand the struggles that us as men go through as Christian men, and our morals and our standard to uphold as believers. So I think it's so much more beneficial, or at least for me personally. And like, it's not some deep, I'm not suffering from any form of deep depression or anxiety. It's just some, undealt traumas that I've had in the past, of like just the upbringing or past relationships that, hey, this emotion arises when this happens. How can I deal with it, or how can I get rid of that out of the emotional repertoire?
Yeah. Okay. Just dealing with, like, being able to, the tools essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just talking about it and saying, okay, this is what practical things you can put into place, or maybe read this part in the Bible. Like Psalms are great because you're just constantly glorifying God and, just telling Him how good He is, giving Him praise, and almost focusing away from the problem.
Yeah. Okay. And then from that, what are your thoughts on these, red pill spaces and the names, we're not allowed to say names, how they say, don't cry.
Yeah,
don't show any sort of emotional.
Yeah, I think that's
weakness.
Like basically a robot, man. Like, we are humans. Jesus wept. We have emotions for a reason.
Yeah.
We just need to be in control of the emotions.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean become a robot and not display the emotions when you actually are feeling it. Like, you have to be realistic about your emotions. So if you are feeling sad, whether that's talking to someone like, hey bro, I'm upset about this, or this is hurting me, don't just suppress the emotion and let it build up inside. Because that's things I've done in the past, where it's going through some troubling time or something stressing me out, and you just suppress this emotion, like, no, it'll be all right, and then it all comes out at once. It's like a volcano.
Yeah, like, I have an unsavory opinion on this because I think, me personally, I handle mental health a little bit differently. I always like to have something, like a goal. Like, how I get out of things is having an objective. Like, I think a lot of things that saved me from issues mentally
was that purpose.
Yeah. I've always had something to do, just even if it's something small.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was the opposite for so long. And look, there are still days that I have it where I'm like, because you're in the fitness industry and you're like, that's my purpose. That's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I love going to work. Whereas I've never had that where I wake up and go, man, I love doing this every single day. And you feel like you belong in there. It's almost like I haven't fit the cookie cut formula.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't feel like I belong, because I try this and I don't like it. I try this, I don't like it.
So this is an interesting question. You see, this is what I mean by having the purpose. So how many upset mentally men, like how many upset men have mental struggles because they've lost their job?
Yeah, a lot.
See, and that's the thing. See, that's a perfect example. Men know that, oh damn, I've lost my job. That's the thing that gave them purpose, something to do. So the mental struggles come when we lose that purpose, that fundamental purpose. And when we take that away, whether it's society just lessens the value of men, or society, whether society just takes away all that that purpose that men provide. When that happens, then you've got men in this spiritual hole.
Yeah, I notice when I get anxious though, or depressed, it's when I take control of a situation or try to. I've spoken about it before on this podcast, and it's something that I'm constantly dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Is when something doesn't go right, just continuing to trust in God and His plan and purpose. Just taking it as it comes and just going, all right, God, like I trust you in the midst of the chaos or of a trial. I trust in you, and I don't take control of my own life. I'm just living it out.
That's a very interesting point. I like that, because you just sparked something in my head. If I was to be super reductionist, I think men's mental health boils down to two things.
Okay.
No purpose and trying to control.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And I know when I'm purposeless, both those things occur. I either haven't had the purpose, or I don't feel there's a purpose in my workplace or whatever, or
you've lost control of something,
or I've lost control in a season or a situation.
So what we need to do is two things: find purpose in Christ, number one, because that'll never change, right? And the second thing is let Christ dictate and control how your life goes.
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Good man. That's a good one. So if you follow Christ in both of those aspects, that's an unchanging purpose and unchanging you've allowed Christ to work through you.
Exactly.
And control what you can control.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then what it says in that is trust God with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight.
It's like it's written in the Bible.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like it was spoken by God.
Yeah, almost. Huh? It's in Matthew as well. Seek first the kingdom of God. Like that's your and what's the rest of it?
Seek first the kingdom and righteousness of God, and all these things will be added unto you.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's exactly the one, dude.
Matthew 6:33.
That's the one. I knew it was something. Like it's almost as if the Bible knows what happens today, what's happened yesterday in all of history, and what's going to happen. It's like human nature doesn't change.
It's not like God's gone, bro, Zach, you're going through this. I have no idea what you are going through. I've never seen anyone go through that struggle before. Yeah. It's like, bro, you go through the
nothing new under the sun.
Exactly right. It's not like this is a new problem for him. No. Everyone goes through some problem. Your problem is not just a unique problem. Yeah, you might be going through it alone, like in this season, but someone else would have gone through that exact problem in the past. Yeah. So it's not like God's gone, brother, like I've never seen this one before. Yeah. Like this is troubling.
And exactly right. And if you fellas want to read a book about problems and all that kind of stuff, read Ecclesiastes. That's a good one. You'll be like, everyone's the same. Yeah. We all feel the same thing. We all like, oh man, what do I do with this? It's all the same. Like everyone has their own problems. There's nothing new under the sun. That's literally what he says. Mm-hmm. Like it's all the same issues. Everyone has the same problems. You've not gone through it alone. God's not seen it for the first time.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend's cheated on you. Whatever it is. Somebody has gone through that before. You've done something stupid. Somebody else has done it too. Like it's not new. Mm-hmm. There are ways to deal with things like that. Yeah. What happens if guys feel like it is out of their control and they don't know how to deal with something that isn't out of their control? Like, everything's just kind of been like sand in my hands and it's just all slipped through. How do you pull someone out of that as a Christian man? Like say me, for instance, I'm going through this horrible time and I don't know how to gather myself as a mate. How would you kind of help me through that? And when I think all else is kind of just lost, how do you help someone at that brink of letting it slide?
Mm-hmm. That's where Christ comes in. I think it's important is when you lose everything or feel like everything is lost. Like God is there to walk with you through that. Don't be anxious for tomorrow, for today has its own worry. So just worry about today. Don't worry about the future. Just worry about today, right? And it's today's issues, what you can do in this moment. And there's things that we can't control. Like just an example, relationship. You know, you might be thinking of a girl, but you don't know what she's feeling. So you can't control the way she feels. You can only control what like your actions are. So there's no point dwelling on how she feels. Just focus on like your actions.
Yep.
I think that's a really good first step. Is just, all right, in this moment, what can I do to navigate through this?
Yeah, I got an interesting one for you.
Okay.
My mum once brought this up to me. She said to me,
quote by Karen.
My mum's name is not Karen. My mum is a Karen though. My mum is a Karen. She can act like a Karen.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, mum.
Karen.
Mumsy. She's not Karen. Yeah, mum once said to me, how do you tell somebody who's just gone through the ringer with things just to believe in God? And as if that won't aggravate them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, how do we tell someone, yeah, just rely on God?
Yeah, he's so arrogant. But God,
yeah, because how do we tell them in a way that, like, you know, they've gone through the absolute ringer, right? Things have been lost. Maybe a loved one has died. You know, they've gone through the worst trauma. Something's bad happened at home, or, you know, and then as Christians we turn around and say, oh yeah, just believe in Christ. He'll fix you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do we tell them that without telling them that? This is how I would like rationalize it in my head. You know, you've never let him in to help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can't blame somebody. You can't blame somebody for not helping you if you've never allowed them to not help, or never allowed them to help you.
Yeah.
You know, and God says those who like. I don't think he says it, but like those who come to Christ, like they will stay there if you honestly open your heart. Like he's not going to say no, you know. So again, like how do we? This is a tough one to like for a non-Christian to hear. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not even up to us to tell them, hey, this is what Christ has in store for you.
Yeah.
Maybe our job there is to actually be a Christian.
Exactly.
And just
and
be the Bible that they've never read.
That's right. Just love on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then your actions, you're actually walking out your faith.
Yeah, like so, like we're coming into like the business end of the episode, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like obviously people are gonna ask, you know, what do you do? And I think we kind of touched on it maybe earlier in the episode. And from my perspective, you know, having a purpose is a major one.
Yeah.
Having something to do, whether it's work related, you know, it's a hobby. Have something that you can
occupies your space.
Correct. That occupies your mind and your space in society as well. Like give to something, you know, even if it's a volunteer something. Like have something that offloads that weight into something else. You know, occupy. That's something. Find a purpose in something. Ideally, Christ. You know, and then or whatever you do, give glory for what you do to Christ.
Amen. Yep.
What about you, man? What do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. The purpose is huge, and again, go back to the self-control, not taking control in situations, but also being careful of what you consume as well.
Yeah.
Not only food, but what you listen to, what you see, because that all has a negative impact. In all seriousness, though, if any of you are going through any form of anxiety, depression, and what we've spoken about either has triggered something or you're unsure of how to handle it, like take what we've said with a grain of salt. This is just things that we do, and
anecdotal.
That's just what we think or we've experienced. Is we have the same troubles as you. Yes, we believe in all human sort of medicine. What do we call
absolutely.
it? Like
absolutely.
Doctors, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. God's giving them gifts to do these things.
Exactly right. But we also have God to go to and give our problems and speak to as well. So just take that into account. Did I articulate that okay?
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so please reach out to any of your friends as well. Don't be afraid to speak out of how you feel, and seek actual medical advice, but also seek a relationship with Jesus, because he's turned many people's lives around and he can turn yours around. Well, that concludes the Stoic, mate. It's been a pleasure.
One. Yeah, man. That was a big one too,
Absolute
man.
pleasure, never a chore.
Always a chore, never a pleasure with you.
This guy did. Bro,
Always
you are a bad cop.
I am bad cop.
Yeah, you are.
Didn't I?
He's like Judas. He pretends to be this good bloke, this Jesus friend, and then just stabs me in the back.
Nah.
Yeah,
Man.
this guy.
I'm not Judas. I'm probably more like Peter, just angry.
Well, that concludes the Stoic episode 5. I think
5.
We're starting to lose count because we're doing so many. We pray and hope that you got something out of this.
Yep.
Again, take whatever we said maybe with a grain of salt if you didn't agree with anything, or
Yeah, it's all our anecdotal kind of
yeah,
positions and how we think it's worked in our lives. So
exactly.
Again, it's not going to work for you guys. So you guys are on your own journey. You guys are on your own walk. The only thing that we can say as firm 100% advice is first seek Christ. That's the 100% advice that we would give from today's one.
Mental health is something that we obviously care about and think is very, very vital in men, especially with some statistics being
not
so high.
Stats.com
Not from stats.com.
Like actual stats. Done.
We thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
You guys, do yourselves a favor. Have a good week. Be blessed. And
we'll catch you guys again when we're looking at you.
well, we're not looking at them. So.
Well, I'm looking at you now. Rightio, guys. Catch ya. Have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll see you on the flip side.